The use of the term category becomes a term that goes across all disciplines. People have an understanding of the projected wind speed. But we all know, it doesn't account for the surge and the rainfall that in combination caused the biggest damage during the hurricane is the water. And the fact that this storm is going so slow, this is going to be one big rain event. The other thing we lose accountability of is, while they're showing a sustained wind of 90 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour in that Category 1 speed, it doesn't account for the gusts. And those gusts will take down the tree limbs, which will take down the power lines. And in the high area, where you have the distribution lines, that's those big lines that look like many Eiffel Towers out there all over the place. If we start losing those, then you're talking about weeks without power. And the loss of electricity alone in any area, but particularly in urban areas, take back the way we live 100 years. Because in most cases, it's going to affect the water. You won't have flushing toilets. You start losing your refrigerated stuff in your stove unless you have a generator, and you lose your ability to communicate and to stay informed, which is one of the key principles of surviving a disaster like this, is to be able to stay informed. So that power going out into itself is going to be a disaster. Plus, with all the rain that's coming in from the surge, as well as the rain that will start coming out of the high ground in the mountains, working its way back out to the ocean. So we've got a big problem here right now because the people that didn't evacuate, that are already starting to flood in places like New Bern.
General, you heard what Contessa Brewer just told us, that this seems different than storms she's covered in the past, that it does seem like businesses and residents have heeded the warnings that local officials have put out. You're talking about maybe 1.5 million people evacuating. She said it looked like so many businesses that traditionally would stay open in a storm, they closed up too and sent their employees on their way. Is that at least a silver lining? Is that good news, that at least the human life at risk is greatly smaller than you might have anticipated?
Absolutely. And, you know, these storms are gone from Katrina, and every one of them I've studied before and after. They have a tremendous impact on small business. Many times they're underinsured. They don't have insurance on all of the rolling stock or the stock they use to sell and for mercantile. And data from FEMA and others show about 40% of those small businesses will fail within about 6 months after a major storm.
Wow.
Where you get that type of flooding, as well as when the power's out, because when the power's out and the grid goes down, the population take a longer time to come in, and much of that area where the eye is coming in is resort. They make their money off of tourism. And people are not going to go or can't go back to an area. So this is going to have a significant economic impact on that community, because people won't be able to go to work, because many of them will be trying to muck their houses and get back in their homes. At the same time, there won't be a tourist population there to spur the economy. So this is why we call these the disaster. And this is why we need to have a serious conversation in America about the National Flood Insurance Program, because it's underfunded and it's in debt, and many people are not insured because they can't afford. If you're poor, you cannot afford the flood insurance. And then if you flood, and if you don't have the flood insurance, you get a double whammy.